and you're watching Pronghorn Morning Channel.
We are back in South Dakota with Ryan Rotier of Rotier Outfitting. After the 10-hour drive, we crawl into the blind, and Tim Gass passes this antelope just hours into our sit. As our hunt unfolds on just the second day, I get a chance with Tim Gass behind the camera. It happens quickly after a group of over 30 decide to come in for a drink. Of course they come in to our right, which is about the only place I can't comfortably shoot, and Tim really struggles to video the action. Here Tim is able to capture a little bit of action through a slit in the top of the blind.
There's your buck. Yep. I see him right now.
Because of the situation in the blind and the way they came in, it's very difficult to video. Tim is doing his best. Tim thinks he's on my buck as he's looking into the viewfinder of the camera, but just before I shoot, he realized he isn't and starts to pan. And here he is, but Tim doesn't realize it. Meh.
I got him. I drilled him. Nice shot. I drilled him. Nice shot. Look, he's so fun. 51 yards. Oh, you smoked him. I could not get the shot. That's all right, buddy. Oh, man.
We actually got out here, and our first day was yesterday. We did get a couple hours of hunting in the evening that we got here. We got here on Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
And we passed up a pretty nice pronghorn antelope.
Nice.
Pronghorn antelope. The next morning, well, we get out there, and Tim didn't have his tripod, and I didn't, and I forgot. And we get out there, and we were going to split up and self-film. I really wish I would have just, went with him and filmed, because it's so weird. Even like this, we were so proud. We actually seen this buck before it got to the water.
Yes, that's the first
and I know
one.
it sounds like we're excited because we're idiots.
Yeah.
It's like
it took 30 antelope to see him.
It'd be every time we. So, anyways, long story short, here we are hunting, and Tim is looks up, and his antelope is in the water, drinking. So he's like, oh my God, raises it, and how far was it?
It was 30 yards.
30 yards, and he smokes it. Takes off or whatever. He sends me a text, hey, I got one. I'm like, oh man, I should have been with him. So we ended up sitting at mine the whole day. I seen one a long ways off, but we sat for like 13 hours. Well, after Tim got done taking care of his antelope, cutting it up, getting into the freezer, doing his nails, charging his phone, dragging his feet so he didn't have to sit, for another 8 hours or whatever.
It was only 110 degrees in the blind.
Yeah, it was pretty warm. So he comes out and he sits with me the rest of the day. Good job to you, appreciate it. So this morning we get up and Ryan's like, we got this big buck. He's really sporadic. He every few days he waters at this hole, and we don't know, it's a big water hole, and
It was a big water.
It was a big. It was 100
like a nice pond.
120 yards across it or whatever. And I'm like, what if he comes on the other side? And he's like, we watch him, try to call him in, So anyways, we're sitting there, and it's like, we got in real early. We left the house at 5. I'd say we were set up by 6. About 7:30, I look out the window, and this like 80-inch goat is drinking. And I'm like, no! I'm like, big goat! And you could just tell he was big. So I grabbed my bow, and we were set up. Of course, he was right in the spot where we weren't set up good for it. And so we did a Chinese fire drill as he was drinking. Camera was in the way, the window wasn't open, but I did kind of practice. So I slid it open, and I get the pin on him, and he was 66 yards.
Yep.
And I shoot, and literally he was down drinking, and the arrow went between his neck and his brisket, like an inch either way. And
like if he'd have had a tie, you'd have taken it off.
Yeah, if he was wearing a tie,
an antelope tie,
or if it's like Zach Frazee shooting at a turkey,
off
goes the beard. Well, anyways, he runs off, and I'm like, no, and Tim's like, great shot, and I'm like, no.
I thought he shot him right through the jugular.
Oh no!
It wasn't a great shot, but I thought it was a devastating shot.
And this is a big goat. So, anyways, long story short, he runs up on the hill, and he turns back, and he stands, and we can see a blood spot right here on his throat. And we're like, well, maybe I cut the. So we waited like 3 hours, and then we found him with a bunch of does. Yeah. So we kind of thought that's a lost cause. We actually did a stalk on him, got within 80 yards, and he took off. And I think we're in Harding County now. I think he's in whatever the county is to the south of us. That's where he's now. So we decided So Ryan's like, there's nice goats here, but there's a bunch in the low 70s. So we sat here for a lot of hours. We've been here for probably 5 hours.
I'm feeling it.
Yeah, my butt's feeling it. But hey, now we don't have to go. So anyways, so get this. We're sitting here, and I know this story is way longer than the video, than actually the shot we didn't get.
Yeah.
But it's fun anyway. Anyways, that they come in. Actually, Tim noticed a bunch of...
I noticed a set of ears and a neck.
Yeah, so we look, and there's a whole bunch of antelope coming in, and I go, my God, there's like 10 of them. There's 12. No, there's 14. No, there's 16. And pretty soon I go, oh, I can see a little buck. I could just see these little horns, but it was actually at the top of the one I shot. It's rack, I think.
Yeah.
So anyways, I go, oh, there's a buck there. And then all of a sudden he picked his head up. I'm like, oh my, Tim, there's a nice buck there.
You got the herd elk.
I got this was definitely the herd bull. So anyways, I give the binoculars to Tim, and I'm like, Tim, and then he's looking, and then he picked his head up again, right?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, that looks like a nice buck. So all these antelope come in to our right, and it's like, I think they're going to water right here, so we shut the windows up on this side, and we open up on this side, which I guess we had one open, but I open up another, and they come in and they start drinking here, and I'm like, geez, where's that buck? Well, then I think there was maybe 10 of them came in here, and then all of a sudden this big group piles over the hill, and it's like, oh, here they come, and the last one was the buck. And he came down, and Tim was like going, you can hear him in the camera saying, hurry up, but by the time I got down and got turned, he only drank for a few seconds. He did 3 slurps, and usually we don't give him more than 4. He
would have drank longer if he'd have known it was the last one.
Well, yeah, exactly. So anyways, it's like and he's up walking, and Tim's like, hurry up, and I had just ranged him at 50. He was 50 right on the nut when I ranged him, and he was walking a little bit, so I aimed a little bit high. He was probably 52, 53, I'm guessing, right? But he was kind of walking parallel, and I shot, and boom, the arrow hit, and I'm like, oh, I thought that looked good. Then he turned, and he ran away, and you can see the arrow sticking out, hanging out the other side, like, yeah. So anyways, I'm happy because I messed up this morning, and
you totally redeemed yourself, man.
Just like on Dumb and Dumber.
Just like when you think you've done the dumbest thing ever, you totally redeemed yourself. I totally
redeemed myself. So, but anyways, it's all good. I just love ground blind hunting. I've really gotten to love ground blind hunting because you can do so. I mean, it's harder to see the game, but you know what I'm going to invent, and don't tell anyone. Hopefully nobody's watching this.
Blind, a one-way
blind? Like the submarine's got the telescope that goes around. I'm gonna friggin' have a camera that mounts out the top there, and you can just sit here with an app on your phone, and you can actually nothing will get away.
That's a great idea, because you know what? When your neck does that all day for 2 days or 3 days, I'm getting periscope neck, I think.
If he would have got much further, I couldn't shoot. I'm like,
put it this way: if we'd have left the camera where I first had it, it would have been absolutely perfect.
I made sure I was level too.
But they came in
That's
from
why
there.
That's why it took a little bit longer aiming. Because
you checked that level.
If I would have done that this morning,
we wouldn't be here right now.
You know what? It's just, I think it's just a really good teachable moment. I've got a level in my sight, right? Right here, and when I'm standing up shooting, practicing, you kind of get the feel for your bow, and a lot of times, I'll shoot and I'll just kind of glance down at it. I'm normally just under normal shooting, like if I'm in a tree stand and everything's flat, you're just literally, I guess, not really paying that much attention to it. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but I think at some point everything becomes instinctual. It's like flying an airplane. Right. If you feel the plane, you kind of know. Well, the situation this morning at 66 yards being that long of a shot, and really no excuses. There was no wind. There was no reason to miss that shot. But after, I never looked at my level. I panicked. I mean, flat out, I panicked because the goat was drinking, and so I have to open the window, and I got stuff in my way. And actually, when I drew back, the camera was in my way, and he was still drinking. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get. And I put the pin, and the pin was all lined up. Instead of glancing down at my level and canting the bow back, I shot to the right. And literally, so after I got done, I put an arrow in, and I one knee was lower than the other, and I was at a funny position. That's what your level's for. It's it's like, I was at a funny position, and so I drew back and I aimed right at my arrow sticking in the mud or whatever, and my bow was tipped way to the right. And so then I almost had to fight it back. It didn't feel comfortable at all. But your bow has got to be level, or whatever, however you do it, you have to do it consistently. And if your bubble.
A learning experience. See, really you're never too old to learn, and you are really old.
But you know what I hate is that you get old and then you learn stuff and you forget it right away. That's
You
the
know,
worst
you
thing.
got to stay level-headed and look at your level. That's what it comes down to.
Well, basically, I think it's almost like comparing it to a football game. You know, like
Sure.
you'll watch, you know, it's, you know, 3rd and 8, and they run a 12-yard pattern, and the guy's wide open, and he starts running before he catches the ball. He drops it, and he puts his head in his hand, and he goes, "Oh my God," you know, and it's like, oh, he'd made the classic, you know, mental error where he didn't catch the ball before he ran.
Fundamentals, man.
The fundamentals, and that's what I did. That's what I did this morning. I basically, you know, I started running before I caught it, and
But you totally redeemed yourself. You know what? You caught the next pass and ran her in.
PK for the touchdown. Give him. You know what? I'm gonna I'm gonna even kick my own extra point. I'll score 2.
Oh, yeah.
If we find it, that'll be like PK scored 8. Thanks, Tim.
Good job, Polly. That was fun.
It was. How many did I score? 8. You got it. How's Daddy doing?
Good, you?
I drilled one. Did you see him dead up there? A1 Archery Hunting 365, no off season. Antelope hunting, South Dakota. Rotier outfitting. Another goat on the ground. Thanks to Ryan, Brandy, Troy. Another great hunt. We've only been here a couple of days. Got an arrow into this super goat. Didn't get it on video. Kind of had the Chinese fire drill going on inside the blind. That's my good friend Tim Gass trying to video me. We got a little bit. We'll put a little bit of something together, but real fun hunt. Tim got a good one. I got a good one. Now we're just going to hang out for another day or so, have some fun with our friends, and see what kind of shenanigans we can get into, huh?
Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you, man.
Nice
Appreciate
goat.
it. Very,
You bet.
very nice prongs.
Jim, he's had a hole of 5 hours and got a nice goat yesterday, so been
He
a
looks-
fun week.
He looks great. You know, he went a little bit further than what I thought. He was hit just a little bit back, but, you know, it was, I mean, he went maybe, what, 150 yards?
Yeah, bet it down.
Something like that. So, but man, good times.
You bet. Congratulations.
Thanks, man.